Okay, this is Kai. So I'm gonna show you how to configure Seestar Help, uh, show you how the whole system is organized and get you started. Uh, so from the slides, hopefully you have at least gone through the presentation a little bit. The way it works is that I have a daemon called Seestar Help that we're gonna launch. This is gonna be serving as a front end, or actually the middleman, for any applications to control Seestar. You can, of course, also use the existing Seestar application on your mobile phone to control that as well. So it's going to go in concurrently. I'm going to show you how to set up the Stellarium so you can sync and control the Seestar and using the Planetarium app. I'll show you how to issue commands through Alpaca using an app that I found. It's called Bruno. And then you can use any other network communications. They all can directly talk to my middleman, Seestar Help, which will communicate to Seestar. And I'll show you how to all put together. So you should have downloaded the script. It's Python. It's called Seestar Help. Inside there's a device folder, and you have to configure the Seestars that you want to control. So the configuration is called config.toml. So in here, I think it defaults. I have 3 Seestars, and it's in here, these 3. And you notice that there are the 2 that are marked with hash mark. They essentially kind of comment out. So these are not active for typical cases. I'm going to create a brand new one. So for you, let's do that. You can name anything you want. Like Seestar Alpha, and you need to put the IP address for the Seestar. This is, I assume you already have that connected to your network with your Seestar. You can have it direct connected, or you can have it as a station mode, from which you need the IP address for that of the Seestar. Last but not least is that you need to assign a device number, because this system allows you to control multiple Seestars. So you need to, for each one, you need to give an ID number. So let's because I've already been using those. Let's say Seestar number 4. All right. So in this case, I'm going to control one Seestar with this IP address, and I'll have it designated as device number 4. And these are commented out, so they're not active. But if you have multiple devices, you can actually activate those as well. Save that. So once it's saved, so I can start run my script. So I already navigated to there, and I'm just going to tell the Python script to run. So this is the help. Is your command Python 3 help.py. And if you do that, it's going to go ahead and connect to the device. So you notice that you see it'll connect device, IP address, the name, and the IP address. The device number 4. So that means it's running. It's running all the time until you quit. So you want to make sure this is running. So once you do that, so again, I've just launched this. Now again, you can also have Seestar running on your mobile phone as well, the app, and it will allow up to 2 clients. So now I have this setup. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to set up Stellarium to control Seestar. So let's do that. All right. So this is Stellarium. One thing I noticed is that to control through the telescope module, it's kind of the newer versions actually have some bugs. So the one that's been pretty consistent working for me is this version. Hopefully they'll fix the later version so that it won't crash as often. But this one has been pretty good to me, right? So you can download that. Again, this is Windows. We're going to have that. We should be able to have this running in all kind of operating systems. But I'll kind of explain that a little bit later. Okay. So to get started, I'm going to configure. There is a plugin tab, last of which is called Telescope Control. This is what we want to control the Seestar. So configure it. You see I've created others before, so as an exercise, I'm going to create a brand new one. So let's do that. Create. I'm going to, Windows, I'm going to use the ASCOM interface. Now for Linux or Mac, I think there's an indie one. I or some contributors going to create another connections. So for those operating systems, you're going to connect to indie. But for Windows, I'm going to use ASCOM. But it's actually a superset of ASCOM because I'm going to use Alpaca. So to do that, before we do, let's name this. Let's say this is my Seestar. It's called Delta. For now. For now. Right. Seestar uses the JNow coordinate system, so make sure you have that. It's JNow. I'm going to go ahead and choose. So the key here is that we are actually using the Alpaca superset. So you want to make sure you pick Alpaca, in which case I'm going to create an Alpaca driver first. So let's do that. So for those of you, you should definitely should have installed the Alpaca platform for Windows. All right. So let's put description in there. So this is Kai's Alpaca. Demo. Right. Right. So there it goes. So I didn't do anything. So just create a new one. So first I gotta set the property. So I need to know how to connect to it. So I click. So there we go. So the port that we're using is local. I'm gonna have the Seestar Alp running on the same machine as this Stellarium, so it's local. The Alpaca port I use is 5555. And remember, I set the device number. So I set this device, that Seestar I say is device number 4. So make sure is that I'm using Alpaca port 5555. And what device number you set in that configuration file, you have to make sure it's configured here. I'm also using IPv4. Right. And because I'm only connecting this device locally, so I'm going to manage it locally here. So it's local. That's pretty much it. So let's start. Okay. So I've set the configuration. So now it's ready. So I've chosen. So I created it. So I created the ASCOM driver. So let's There you go. So you notice that I just created a new entry here. It's Seestar for demo. Got it? So I can actually start connecting to it. Um, Again, my Seestar is already powered on. So remember this diagram. I've powered this on. I have my middleman running already, and I'm just setting up Stellarium. So I'm going to start connecting. There it is. So you noticed, yeah, don't worry about that. So so if you're done, you notice that it's the status now says connected. And you notice if you just saw it. Oh, come on. Anyway, you actually see a new target. If you can see it, it's called Seestar for demo here. This is actually where the telescope is actually pointing in my space. So let's get so you can see a little better here. So I could actually tell it to slew and all kind of stuff now, but let's actually do a little better. So let's see. Let me lift this right here. So I have Stellarium now connected to my Seestar. I'm going to also have a companion app, Bruno, to issue all kind of instructions and commands also through my middleman to Seestar. So that's what I'm doing right now. So the app I use is called Bruno, and once you install it, you can open a whole command set that I've created. So in the distribution I sent you in the link, when you install my scripts, one of the folder is called Bruno. So this is where all the commands are stored. Here we go. So I want to store this. There it goes. So this is my Seestar, all the commands that I can do that I know so far to control Seestar. They are actually subfolders, so a whole bunch of stuff, cameras, filter wheels. But the one I want to get started, here's a simple one. So there's a startup sequence that I have in here. Now, before you can actually use this, is that you got to set what device you want to do. Remember I told you in here, I need to tell what device I want to control. I can actually control a lot of different devices, but for this one, I want to target that device 4. Remember that number 4? So I have that here. You can create new ones, for example. You can create new ones. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4. So if there's more and more, you just duplicate them. And the main difference really is just change this device number. So that's really the environment difference. So what I'm telling right now is that I want to say, using this app, I say all the commands I'm going to issue now, I want to direct to device number 4, which is that device, it's a Seestar. So the first one I want to do is I want the Seestar to wake up. So remember, I just turned it on. The lens is on the bottom, facing down. So I'm going to tell it, wake up. So that's a whole bunch of stuff. So one thing it does is that actually set your current location. So if you just want to leave it the way it is, so you just leave it 00. And it'll automatically, based on the IP address, it'll try to find in reasonable locations that you're roughly in. But if you know exactly where you are, you can actually enter that in here. Now, this also, you can actually spoof. If so, you want to pretend that you're in South Pole, you can actually set South Pole location. So this is the way to kind of set your environment the way you want. The other thing it does is that it sets the time, and it would move the arm pretty high up so that it helps in terms of doing equatorial mount polar alignment. But again, this is not EQ is not required to work with this. But for me, this kind of helped me get things started without doing all kind of mundane stuff. So let's do that. So I'm gonna tell it to start up to device 4. To run, I can just either Control Enter or just arrow. And what you see if I do that, you would notice that the target in here, this one is going to move up. Let's see. Okay. Ready? Go. So here you can hear it's moving, and there it goes. You see this thing is moving now. You can see this way. Let me get rid of this. There we go. All right. So it's moving, and in theory should point pretty close to Polaris. But of course, it really depends on how to rotate it and stuff. So it won't be correct, but you get the idea. All right. So, for example, if I kind of know it's near Polaris, so I think this Polaris right here. There we go. So I can tell, let's say it's, can't really sync to Polaris, so I know it's kind of around here. So I can tell it to sync. So to do that, I press Control 0 in here. It brings up this telescope control dialog. So what I do here is that I pick a target. So it says here. And I see when I click the current object, the location is updated here. And I can tell the telescope to sync to that. What happened if I sync? Oh, I gotta pick a device. Yeah. All right. Because I only have one Seestar, it's on knows I want to aim for that device. So what I've done now is I can sync, and I can tell it to move. So for example, I want to tell it to move to Capella. Okay, let's do that again. So I click Capella. I'm gonna click the current object, in which case this should change. Watch. There we go. So now it's set the location. So I want to tell this instrument to move. And you can hear from background, it's Seestar is icon to move. There it is. So if it's roughly dark at night and then you don't have any obstructions, so what Seestar is going to do is that once it's going to move there, and it's going to do plate solving to kind of center it. And what's doing right now is that it moved, and then it's doing imaging to go ahead and find itself, and then it will try to adjust until it gets to that part. But of course, right now it's daytime, so it won't find. And later on, you hear the background say it cannot find the object or something like that. So, but that's essentially how now you can see how it's all connected. All right. So that's how you can interface Stellarium with my app to Seestar. Now, one thing I want to highlight too is that if you know you're always going to have it connected, you may want to have this click connect at startup. So whenever you launch, so when you want to launch on Stellarium, it automatically try to connect to the telescope. I don't do that right now because in order to do this, you want to make sure all your Seestar's on, and then my Seestar out script middleman is running. So for demo, I don't do that, but you could. All right. So that's how I got Stellarium to connect to Seestar. And now on top of that, I can do a whole bunch of stuff, right? So this is script. So if you want to try other things, you can browse around. So the get started guide. So this is I already did the startup sequence. I can tell it to do a mosaic. So the mosaic, the commands are the thing is that the only thing I don't like about this is that you can't really see the parameters well. Let me try to bring it up higher. Okay, so this is the parameter for the mosaic. Don't get intimidated. It's actually pretty straightforward. So you can tell the names. You can actually tell whatever name you want. You can actually enter the location. If it's -1s, that's like this, it'll automatically take the current position that the Seestar is pointing at. You can tell if you want to use the light pollution filter or not. How long you want the whole session of the mosaic to last. In here, this is 3,600 seconds, which is 1 hour. And this tells you how many panels in mosaic. So it's just 2 by 2, so it's 4 panels. So it's going to do 4 panels within 1 hour. And these next two are configurations to say how close they are. The number here is it's how far apart these panels are. One is it's just a standard that I use right now to it's kind of work relatively well for equatorial orientations and just enough overlap. So if you want more overlap, you just update this to bigger. Less overlap, it'll be smaller. You can also change the gain. I find 80 is the default, right? Just stay with that unless you know what you're doing. That's pretty much it. So if you want to do mosaic now, all you have to do is click this and go ahead and tell it to go. So you heard now is that the Seestar is actually going to try to find the object and then yeah. So it's actually going to do the mosaic. It's going to go through those four locations and image for whatever time is required. But again, there's no stars because it's daytime, so it's going to fail. But that's how you're going to do it. And then you can also tell it to stop. The other cool thing, there's a lot of things you can do in here. It just this is the more advanced stuff. All the other things. There's actually a run schedule here. You can actually do a whole bunch of schedule a whole bunch of stuff for the night. But for this demo, this is why I want to just kind of give you an idea of what it can do. All right. So it's going to skim through back. That's pretty much it. So hope we get you started. Good luck.